Hi, this is Ganga White, coming from cyberspace at the White Lotus Foundation, which is an amazing canyon that has year-round flowing creek and waterfalls and swimming holes, and was always some sort of gathering place. The original Native Americans who lived here used to traverse between where the tribes lived on the beach side or the valley side, and this was like their thoroughfare, and it was some sort of shamanic and gathering place, because we know that because it's been researched by anthropologists, and there are painted caves here, and you can just feel that kind of energy around here. So it's a very magical place as people who stay here a while start feeling very quickly. Yes, it's always been my intention to have a residential retreat, because I went on several of them when I was learning, and I lived in ashrams in America and in India, and I just saw how powerful it was to be in total immersion, and to, even if it's for a weekend or a week long or a month, to just be out of your normal patterns and responsibilities, and to be totally focused on transformation in yoga. We have a very broad definition of yoga, which you could say transformation, the art of living, self-discovery. So, yoga usually refers to asana practice, which is a big part of what we do, but we're really more interested in consciousness, awakening, transformation, and not simply or only physical practice. So in that regard, we've had many kinds of events here. Anything furthering the development of the total human being, which is our mission statement, and anything expanding human potential. Beyond Belief has several chapters. It starts off with standing on the shoulders of the past, which frames our perspective that what we're practicing as yoga now, both physically, mentally, or philosophically and spiritually, is really at a more evolved and developed level than it has been over the millennia. So we are honoring the past and the teachers who contributed, enhanced and expanded yoga down through the ages, and we're also hoping to see something new and different. And then there's a chapter on the many different types of philosophical yoga and physical yoga, and how that makes sense, and how to make sense out of that. Then the third chapter is called Finding the Aha in Hatha, and that has about 40 or 50 principles that you can learn to use in your practice, things you can pay attention to and monitor, like upward moving energy, downward moving energy, heating and cooling, the rhythms of nature and the rhythms in your own life, strength and flexibility, and there's just pain and injury, and there's many things that teaches you how, gives you principles and things to watch in your practice. And then there's a chapter on advanced insights, the energy body, and how to get in touch with that and use that in your practice, how to move energy and lines of energy, etc. There's a chapter on pain and injury, of course, preventing it and learning how to use the pain system in your body as feedback, as opposed to something we just resist. It actually would be a big problem if we didn't have our pain system in the body. So pain and feedback. And then there's a chapter on meditation and how your whole life is really your meditation, not just what you do sitting in the lotus position. And the final chapter is on enlightenment spirituality and the miraculous, and the mystery, which I can't really give away the end because we say there is no end. As opposed to many traditional views seeing enlightenment as an end state you attain, we see it as a constant ongoing process of awakening at different levels. So enlightenment and the mystery is part of the fabric of the universe. We're never going to explain it all. And it's a huge relief to stop worrying about and trying to. So enlightenment and mystery, meditation, and the miraculous. We teach a lot of trainings and workshops and teachers who are always asking to have it written down so they could, keep it and study it, etc. And I, just personal reasons, I just wanted to try and have a holistic vision of modern, evolutionary yoga in print. Really, to be a good teacher, you have to be a good practitioner and know how to use the yoga for yourself. That's the first step. So that's how I wrote it. And of course, that's going to be invaluable, we feel, to teachers. There's at least two very differing worldviews, you could say, about yoga. One sort of sees yoga as something which was figured out by great sages in the past and has kind of like been mapped out into 4 or 5 general paths that you must follow to self-discovery and self-realization. So one worldview sees yoga as something that was mapped out and discovered in the past, and the other sees it more as a constantly evolving and changing perception. So instead of following and learning a specific practice or a specific way of living, you learn to awaken your own perception, insight, and understanding, which is sort of a navigation system for life. And also, which is the worldview we're taking. Life is changing, accelerating, constantly evolving, and there are certainly universal truths that were discovered in the past. But instead of following a path, we see it as more navigating your life and learning how to tune the yoga to yourself and find the right practice each moment. So for example, even with asana, people will always say, or often say, what do I do for back pain? And you could have a formulated approach, but we found over time that doesn't work. You can have 10 people with the exact same symptoms and maybe even the same diagnosis and MRIs, but they will respond in 10 different ways to a practice. So you have to learn how, even with a mechanical physical practice, to adjust the practice to what's happening with the person and teaching the person to do that for themselves. People see yoga poses and they say, God, I really need to do that, or I wish I could do that, or I'm unable to do that. But we like to turn it around the other way and say that the postures are more tools you learn to serve yourself and to serve the well-being and balance of your own body, as opposed to using your body to attain the yoga pose. There's a difference. One says, I've got to attain this pose. It may not be good for you long term. And there's a lot of modern discoveries with modern science and medicine and kinesiology that have shown that a lot of the yoga poses actually can be very detrimental long term. So we define becoming an advanced yoga teacher or practitioner as someone who learns how to use the yoga better to serve themselves, as opposed to using their body to attain the yoga.